Good morning, traders, to the Tuesday Outlook and Setups. Today we'll be looking at GU primarily, but we'll always also have a look at AU and EU just quickly. We're going to start off on the daily, and then we're going to drop down to the 1 hour and then the 50 minutes and see the setups that we can find. I'm also planning on doing a video on order flow. It's just a simplified way of looking at order flow and combining that with market structure. So I'm planning on doing that video today as well, and then hopefully releasing it later this week as well. So keep your eyes out for that. So make sure to hit the like button and subscribe not to miss any other content coming to you. So we're going to start off by looking at the daily, and it's rather interesting. I remember we spoke in the community and we said we had this high and this low, and the prices this indecisional day. Well, the day closed as an indecisional candle. We're still trading within that range, so we can see the highs and the lows there. We're still in that range. So ultimately, those areas becomes our main previous daily high and previous daily low. So if we just, I did make one, did I not? Previous low? No, it's not this. So we're just going to quickly just put in your previous daily high. I'm going to make this on top, and this we're just going to call previous daily low, and this will just be at the bottom like this. It's not the previous daily low, but for me it's the most significant previous daily low and the most significant previous daily high, primarily because it's the high and the low that's created this range that we're currently trading within. So on a daily view, we had a really nice price action towards the downside. It was really relatively easy to read, and we could really catch some nice moves. But now we are heading towards an indecisional area. So we can see we're kind of consolidated within this area, moving sideways. Kind of gets the feeling of wick city again, where we have more wicks than anything else. So this suggests the price is going into a period of sideways moving market. And in this case, we usually tend to trade the bounces from the edges. So we try to get the long here and short there. May it be aligning with the session openings and all the other things that we look for. So ultimately, the idea for me would be to see price reach up into this imbalance area on the daily. So that's the ultimate goal for me, for price to reach into this area. So longs is ultimately what I'm looking for, but I'm seeing that we could see potentially a move down lower first before continuation up higher. So we could see a sweep of these lows, either one of these, before going up higher. That's kind of what we're looking at now. Or we could see just a small sweep of previous daily low or the day before it, and then continue higher. So that is the one of the likely scenarios. Then also, what we can also just note is that price could also just run and go for these lows, because if we look at, it's not ideal, but if we look at this swing leg from this high towards this low that broke the structure over here to the left hand side that broke the structure, we can see that we did tap into the 50% of that leg. So price does not need to go higher. We have reached a premium, so we've reacted off of the premium. We're seeing this bearishness, so now price could just be heading towards these lows and continue this bearish leg as well. So I have both scenarios in mind, the bullish and the bearish side. So if the lower time frames provide sells, we'll take sells. If it provides longs, we'll take long trades. So now we're going to remove this, quickly go to the 1 hour. So there we have our previously high marked. It's also just marked as the buy side liquidity, or we can take that away. And then there's our previous day low. Currently we have this sell side liquidity up here, down here. So let's just look at current price action. So in terms of where price could be reaching for, it looks like we actually just wicked below this low already, but we have then this area over here as well. So those are some of the areas that I'm looking for price to reach into. But we can see through the Asian session, price has really made some moves towards the downside, and it's really trending towards the downside. So our current expectation is just to see a pullback and then a continuation short. So I'd like to see a pullback and then further continuation down lower. I don't think necessarily we will go up again. If we just look at price sweeping above these highs, and then we see the sharp reaction towards the downside, and we can see all of these impulsive displacement candles moving towards the downside. So giving us the confirmation of that indication the price is most likely going to trade lower. So now the 1 hour is also lower. So now we're just going to look at this price action over here and try to identify some areas. So we have this 1H liquidity area, which is the order block as well. Also, we have the imbalance in this area, as well as then this previous high, which then creates liquidity. So I think ideally, in an ideal world, a move up and then a move down would be really nice. But you know, nothing really always works out ideally. But let's have a look at the 50-minute. The 50-minute supports that idea. We have a really nice supply area over here, full body candle, a clean leg towards the downside. This supply candle also broke structure towards the upside, stripped the liquidity above those highs. So this for me is a very nice key area. I would definitely be keen on looking for sells from this area. So I'll just already set an alert around this area just to see price potentially reaching up into that area. For sells, I would ideally look to get in as close to possible towards the candle and then have my stop loss just above it. If we see price trade a bit in, you can maybe take a market execution, reduce the stop loss, or maybe put a bid above the highs just to make room for spreads and all those kind of things. And then targeting these lows firstly. So this would be kind of the trade idea that I'm seeing currently on the 15 minute. So there's still not a lot that needs to happen. The ultimate thing is that price needs to get above this high as liquidity and then fill this imbalance and then react off of this supply area, and then we can move down lower. Now we need to consider as well the price could just go up and react off of something over here because this is where we had a structure break. The key is to know that price could be trading off of any one of these areas, and there's no, well, you might disagree with me, but I don't think there's a definite way of saying for certain which one it will be, because in this case we have a very clean nice structure break and we have then this key zone up here which is likely to get tapped into. In this area we have a retracement and then a push down, and then it's a much weaker structure break. You can see it's only a wick trading below it, and then so the structure break, if you compare these two, this one looks much stronger than this one. So it will be interesting to see what we trade to. If we just look at the 5 minute, there's no full body candles, no clear explicit areas where we could see volume started pushing into the market. Obviously we have this up candle and then this move down. But if you take this area, this is a very clear buying happened, taking out the stop losses above these highs for people that sold, and then the volume came in and prices was delivered towards the downside at a much cheaper price. So as you can see, cheaper prices was offered and it was taken up, and you can see the move towards the downside. Then we have the correctiveness creating a high, people sell here, and then we see this push down again. So ideally I would like to see price return up to this area for a trade today or tomorrow, most likely today. But this also is a 27 pip move towards the upside, which is rather big as well. But we know that GU makes 20 pip moves very quickly. It's not a problem for GU. If you just look at this price leg, 30 pips, and it happened in, I don't know, very quickly, like 45 minutes. And this in an hour, 1 hour candle, we have this big move. So I'm still thinking that this could be a good sell area, but obviously, let's see what price is doing. So I'm keeping my eyes on this one as a sell for GU. So let's have a quick look at euro dollar. I haven't looked at this pair in a long time. Well, really analyzed it. I'm going to start off on the daily. So let's first of all look where did price react off of. So we react off of a previous high. So we have grabbed liquidity and we have now sustained that momentum towards the downside from this point where we took all the liquidity that is resting above these highs. So that was the feel for the move. So where will the next move? Where will we exhaust that? Where are we heading to? So I'm just looking at these lows. Currently they're more prominent just because you can see we have a push. From this low we have a push and a pullback, creating a higher low, and then a push up, creating a higher high in terms of wicks, not body closes, in terms of wicks. So I would think the price could potentially be moving down into this area potentially. If we look at the 1 hour, we can see everything is bearish. The order flow is bearish and kind of the same area, I think, for me, more or less on GU. You can see this impulsiveness, but then we're creating coming down, and now basically just creating some liquidity towards the downside as well, with those equals lows there as well. I'm not going to look to the left. I'm just going to be focusing on what we're seeing right here. Currently, the price action and the order flow for me is bearish. So in an ideal world, I would also like to see price move up into this area and then move down. If we look at the 50-minute, then in support to this, it's a bit messy, and I'm really not liking EU. That's why you can see GU is much cleaner and clearer. This whole buy move towards the upside, and then the sell off, and I can't pinpoint an area personally. Maybe on the 5-minute, we can maybe use this area over here, or this zone, or this cluster. But I'm completely honest with you, I'm not comfortable looking at this or knowing where it could react off of. So I'm not going to give you more than this because I don't know. I'm just saying it like it is. We're going to have a look at Aussie dollar. Maybe it's a bit cleaner or clearer. Okay, so this is also the daily. So remove everything. So this could also be a good indication for other pairs to go short as well. This is a nice area of imbalance, and we know the price could come back down to rebalance itself. So in this case, a short move into this area and then a long could be viable. We still have all of this liquidity above this high as a target, and then now this high created as well. So I think in an ideal setup, if we could see a push down into the 50% mark of this leg towards the downside, maybe just tapping that 50% and tap into this supply area down there. If you can see price coming down, something like this, and then continuing higher, that would kind of be very ideal. So let's just put this there. Let's go to the 1 hour quickly. So there's that area marked on the daily and all of this imbalance. So we'll have to look at what is price doing in this area. We can see it's much more similar to GU in terms of compressedness and ranging. If you look at GU quickly, you can see it's also moving more compressed sideways, whereas EU is much more extended. You can see price moving down lower. So if we just look at some correlations between those pairs, that's easily identifiable. We're going to just mark out this like this, so we know this is the area of imbalance on the daily. Looking at price action now, we can see how price reacted off of something. We can't know if we're sitting on this time frame, but price did react off of something to the left for this wick to push up in there, or just taking out the liquidity above those 1 hour highs. And now I think we've grabbed the liquidity. Now I'm looking for reason for price to go lower. We have this clean low towards the downside, which is our sell side liquidity, which is then obviously a magnet or a pull for price to go lower. 15-minute, very nice stop punt on the highs above these, on the liquidity above these highs, and then we can see price moving down lower. It's not very clean or clear as to where we can find entry, perhaps on the 5-minute. You see, this is probably this would probably be now the main area where I would look for price to return into before going short. So for price to reach this area and then maybe give us a 1-minute confirmation and then a drop down into these lows, the sell side liquidity at these lows. Very nice break above the highs, grab liquidity and then push down, filling this imbalance, making it sufficient, and then potentially the retracement exhaustion up into this area before the further push towards the downside. That's the one idea. All price could just be breaking lows and following the order flow towards the downside like that. But as I said before, GU is the main pair that I look at and analyze and study. All these others are just added confluences or looking. So, but ultimately my ideas would, but also there's just noting that the 1 hour order flow is still bullish. If we just look at the down closing candles, you can see it's still, price is not, I'll go more into that in the next video, but you can see price is not closing below these areas. So you see this is maybe the first signal that the order flow is shifting because price closed below the down closing candle over there. But more on that in the next one. And we can see price now starting to push down. This should probably mean, yes, G is also moving down lower. So currently, to be honest, it doesn't look good in terms of setups for me. In terms of buy setups, this could be a reaction area. So if price just drops down into this area, this could definitely be a demand buying area from this candle. We see price push up, breaking structures over there. So this could definitely be a buying area. Let's look at 3 minutes and see if we can refine this a bit more. Yes, let's refine as much as I would have refined it. We can see there again the liquidity grab and then the push up, breaking structures. So this area definitely is a valid area for me, I think. Let's see what price will do in this area. Potentially we could take a long up into that area again. So I have long ideas then set in motion as well. So if we have a long trade going up into that area. So I'm just setting alerts at both of these areas and then we'll see what happens and what gets triggered and what type of confirmation that we get in those areas. Not just jumping into a trade, but first of all, looking for the confirmation in those trades. So that's it from my side. I hope you all, you got it. May you have a wonderful trading day. Stay safe, manage your risk, and have a good day. Cheers.